Hey guys, my name is Shai, and this is a completely open-ended pick a card reading. You've got some adorable little bunnies up on your screen. You can pick one of those, whichever one is calling you in with a message. If you would prefer to pick by card rather than by bunny, you're going to have that chance in a minute. The timestamp is also down below. If you're wondering why bunnies, honestly, I'm not sure. Of course, it is Year of the Rabbit. I am recording this just after the Lunar New Year, moving into Year of the Rabbit. But I actually had a bunch of rabbit and bunny themed things come up, and I made this art before I realized it was Year of the Rabbit. So I was having all of this come through. So we do seem to have a background here of rabbit energy going on, but this is a timeless message and you can watch this in absolutely any year. It doesn't necessarily have to do with rabbits, but maybe a little bit of springtime energy, right? I've actually been feeling a lot of Easter vibes, even though I'm recording this in January, so it is not Easter, but I don't know, maybe a fair chunk of you are going to be watching this in the springtime in your hemisphere or in around Easter. So interesting, very interesting. So I'll let you pick your message and I will see you guys in your reading. Okay, card slash bunny number one. Feeling heart chakra vibes for you guys right off the bat. Right off the bat here. We got one card, we're gonna get more, but what's going on? The second bloom, a second chance, it's never too late, and new possibilities. I was just saying I'm feeling like springtime energy, right? Springtime. So this isn't even just a second chance or a second bloom. To me, this is tuning into like the eternal spring, the eternal renewal, how we have never missed out. We've never truly missed the boat, so to speak. You've never missed your chance. There's always a constant cycle of renewal. I actually have a lot of people, many of my like private clients, they ask me like, did I miss my chance? Or or they're just expressing their concern that I feel like I missed my chance. Like I didn't do this in time and now my chance is gone. And that seems to be, at least from the people that I connect with, that is like a very big worry, right? That is a very, very big worry. So if that's you, this card is letting you know, right? You've never missed your chance. There's always a second chance and a third chance and a fourth, and like infinite chances, right? There is no such thing as missing out. I mean, of course, you're all going to have your own unique worldviews and your own unique views on consciousness and this universe and how everything works. Just to throw out there, my probably my most significant, like most basic, as in it is at the foundation of all my other views, right, is that I believe I am in an infinite multiverse, right? Infinite, key word here, infinite, where if something can happen, then it has happened, will happen, is happening, right? Literally everything, all versions of everything exist. And that really blows everything out of the water, because then if we're thinking, okay, this reading is going to get really deep, really like abstract, really fast, because and I think that's really the solution for you guys, because If you have concerns about your human life going, did I miss my chance? Or if you're looking back on, some of you looking back on past relationships going, did I miss my chance with that person? Or did I miss my chance to find love? Did I miss my chance to find my partner, right? Or if you're thinking like, some of you may be trying to figure out like what is true, what really happened, maybe, in this life, or what happened in some other life, what is true out there in the universe. Or if you're trying to figure out like, have I missed my chance to make money? Am I too old to start a new career? Am I the wrong age to have children? Is it like whatever your thing is, right? Someone feels like you're too old to feel young again. No, like your soul is eternal. Yes, these human bodies like wear out, but you're just gonna be back in a new body like in a second, right? So like it doesn't matter. So anyway, so all of these concerns that you might have about physical human life, if you try to solve them in a 3D physical human way, you're just gonna keep spinning around, milling around in the problem. So I feel like to point you towards, and you don't necessarily have to like instantly believe in this idea of an an infinite multiverse. You don't have to believe in that, but can you just consider the possibility, right? Can you just consider the possibility? What if there is infinite chances? What if there are infinite timelines? What if you live this exact same life over and over and over again, but not in a linear fashion, not like trapped in this loop like a Groundhog Day loop? It's not like that. It's on the higher level of your own consciousness is concurrently parallel processing, living out multiple iterations of this same life. So if you're thinking, I missed out on this opportunity, well, no, you didn't. In some other life, you are living out that opportunity. You took that path in some other life, right? You are taking that path in some other life. And in this life, you've got something that other version of yourself doesn't have. So when you blow everything out of the water and go, I am infinite, my possibilities are infinite, my lives are infinite, my chances, my potential, and my possibility, this is all infinite. There is no ending. There are no missed chances ever. You can always just begin anew and pick a new path right now, and you can begin again and create a new life for yourself right now. There is never a missed moment. It doesn't even make any sense, because if you are just entertaining the idea of an infinite multiverse, then everything, everywhere, all at once, right? So, I think that's why I'm like feeling like the heart-centered energy for you guys, because it's like when your heart is completely open, it's infinite like that, right? It's interesting. I would actually say it's not just your heart, it's your sacral, your heart, and your third eye. And those are your like your soft chakras. So there's one of many different ways of looking at the chakras. This is just one way. But if you think of like, if you want to number the chakras, right? Root being number 1, sacral being number 2, solar plexus being number 3, and so on. The even number chakras, right? So 2, 4, and 6, sacral, heart, and third eye, those are like the in-between chakras. You could even call them the feminine chakras. We think of the other ones, the root, the solar plexus, the throat, as the like masculine or the structured or like the firm, because they give structure. And then the soft chakras, the even numbered chakras, they are the liminal space, the softer energies that move between. They're the transitional states. Yeah, so that's one way of looking at that, and that really resonates with me. And so it's like all of your soft chakras, your feminine chakras, your mutable chakras. I could come up with different words, but I think you guys kind of know what I mean, right? They're like receptive. They are about perceiving, right? They're about perceiving. Your perceptive chakras, I could say. Like they're all being activated because it's like you're learning to sense, perceive, and feel. Sense, perceive, and feel your entire reality in a whole new way. So this is like, this is really abstract, really big, really big. So you guys are going big, going abstract, and going deep. You know, I always think it's funny how I can kind of use the words abstract and deep interchangeably because it's just your matter of perspective, right? It's basically expanding beyond where you've been. So let's get you some tarot cards. Nine of Wands, yeah, so resilience, because it's been a long journey and sometimes you guys are tired, right? Some of you, like how you relate to this Nine of Wands is going to be different. Some of you can be feeling very, very, very fatigued, very, very, very done and exhausted. Maybe some of you are even feeling like you fought a really long battle and you just don't want to fight it anymore, right? You're done with the struggle, done with the climb. And yeah, you know, it is okay to let go of the struggle. Like at some point you can realize that struggle is simply a feeling, sensation, frequency, vibration inside of you that you can just drop, right? You don't need to keep struggling. You can just stop struggling. There might be this feeling, I'm seeing somebody feels like if you stop struggling, you're going to drown, right? Like imagine if you're swimming and maybe you don't know how to swim very well, and maybe you've been swimming for a very long time and you're getting very tired. And you know, there's a thing with swimming where people often drown because not because they couldn't swim, but because they got so tired and that they like couldn't keep swimming. And I always think that's a little like that's really sad, because you never need to get tired when you're swimming. You can just float. You can just float. Of course, depending on your body composition, it is easier for some people to float than others, but all humans can float. All humans can float with a little bit of practice and with a little bit of knowing how to breathe, right? Of course, if you're, I've known some people who are like very, very thin, right? They don't have a lot of body fat and it's harder for them to float because they're less buoyant. But even they can learn to float if they know how to lay on their backs and spread out on top of the water properly and to like breathe properly, where, you know, when you're exhaling and then now you have no air in your lungs, right? Then that's when you move your hands a little bit to keep yourself afloat. But then when you're inhaling and you can hold a big breath, that's when you can float really well, and that's when you can allow your body to relax. So there's like a rhythm to floating. So interesting metaphor there that might apply to you guys. Like just fit that to your lives as you move through your lives, right? If you feel like you're treading water and you're swimming and you've been swimming so long, well, and you might have this feeling like if I stop swimming, if I stop struggling to keep my head above the water, you might feel like your head's going to drop below the waves. No, it won't. Just float. Just float. And remember, you can't float if you're tense. You can't float if you're struggling. You can't float if you're all balled up. You have to lie on your back and spread out. Just literally think about how to float in water. So there's that. And here you are opening your hands, right? Opening your hands. Six of Pentacles here. Are you opening your hands to receive, or are you opening your hands to give? From this card, we don't know if this person is giving or receiving these coins, or these light codes, actually. But you know, coins, light codes, whatever. And that's the point. That's the point. That is the point. So I'm thinking about that. Have you been closed off? Have you like closed off your heart? Have you closed off your sacral? Have you closed off your third eye? What parts of you have you closed up? You closed yourself off to protect yourself at some point, right? But you closed yourself off and you closed yourself up so that you couldn't receive, right? But now you're sitting there and you actually really want to receive. You want to receive a helping hand. You want to receive blessings. You want to receive energy. Of course, you want to receive money and you want to receive love. You want to receive, right? You want to receive, and you might be sitting there going, why am I not receiving? You're not receiving because you're actually still closed up, like energetically, or you might be sitting there in your life going, I'm not closed up. But have you ever like I've done this. I've literally been this person, like to yell, I'm not yelling. So sometimes we get like that. We don't realize, we don't realize that we're closed off even when we are closed off. So open up, right? Open up to receive, open up to receive. And now someone is going, but if I open up to receive, I'm going to receive something I don't like. If I open up to receive, I'm going to receive something bad, right? Because that's what's happened to you before. You opened up to receive and you received something bad. So putting a pin in that also needs to be explored here. But before I get into that, back to this idea of, we don't know if if they're opening up to receive or if they're opening up to give, right? Why might have you closed yourself off because you don't want to give? Well, because at some point in the past, you gave too much and people took too much from you and you became depleted and you became exhausted, right? But with this sacral chakra activation, you're actually going to find how good it feels to give. But this time, you're going to give from a place of overflow. You never give when you're depleting yourself, right? You never give when you're depleting yourself. So an easy metaphor for this is, imagine you have a chunk of money and you invest it in some type of, you just put it away in the bank and it sits there and it generates interest, right? And then every 5 years you get, the interest pays out, right? And you can decide, you can put the interest back into the bank and it can get interest on interest, right? And then you're really cooking with gas. Or you can decide, no, there's something I really want to do with the money, right? I'm going to spend that money maybe on myself. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to do something nice for my family. I'm going to buy a new car because I need it for work or whatever, right? And that's a choice you can make. Then you can spend the money that you made, right? And that's the overflow. What you wouldn't do, or what you wouldn't want to do ideally, right, is you wouldn't want to spend the principal when you make an investment, right? You can spend the interest and do whatever you want with it because that's money you made, right? That's the overflow. You don't want to spend the principal. And of course, we've all been there. Well, I've certainly been there, where you end up having to spend your principal. You end up having to spend your savings. And then it even goes even farther. You end up going into debt, right? And now you've got a big problem. That was then and this is now, right? That was then and this is now. That's done, right? Now you can move into this phase where you only spend the interest, right? You only spend what's extra. This is about you and your energy, right? You're only giving from a place of overflow. And when you're really tending to yourself and taking care of yourself, then you find that it is safe to give again. It is safe to give love again. It is safe to be generous with your time, energy, and money when you trust yourself to only give from a place of overflow, right? And then there's this whole thing about there's a scene from a movie. I don't remember the movie. I don't remember even the context, but there's this one scene. There's like a couple of monks, like they must be Buddhist monks, I think. And they had some strangers come, like they met some strangers, right? And so the strangers needed their help. And they, of course, were like, we're going to help you, right? We want to help you. You are strangers. We want to help you. Because that's what we want to do. Because of course we would, right? Of course we would help the strangers. And they helped the strangers. And the strangers, I can't remember what movie this is, or the plot of the movie, but somehow, after they helped the strangers either betrayed them or something went wrong or like opened them up, and that ended up like something really bad happened. Like either their monastery was destroyed or like their culture was invaded or something like that. You get the idea, right? This is a very general type of theme, like trajectory that has played out like over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? You get the idea. You help the strangers out of the goodness of your heart, and then the strangers come back and now your whole life is ruined. And I remember this scene because when the tragedy was befalling them, these two characters, these two monks, looked at each other and said, in tears, and said, we shouldn't have helped the strangers. But I remember, like, we shouldn't have helped the strangers. That was their realization. But I remember that scene hit me so hard. That's why I can remember this one scene from this movie, even though I can't even remember the rest of this movie. I don't even know what movie it was. On the one hand, you can look at that statement, we shouldn't have helped the strangers, as them going, oh, I regret that one thing I did because now this big horrible thing happened to me. But really, look, on a deeper level, what that was about was going, they just in that moment were discovering that helping the strangers was wrong. And that shook them to the very core of their being. That was the traumatic experience there. That was the truly traumatic moment when they realized that acting from the goodness of their heart, that being generous, that doing the right thing, that helping others, that right, that the thing that they carried as most sacred, right, helping fellow human beings would have been something that they, what could possibly be more important than that, right? And they, in that moment, their belief in that was shaken because they did the right thing. They helped the strangers. They acted from the goodness of their own heart. They were generous and they were loving and caring, and they saw the best in others. And that was wounded. That part of themselves was wounded from that. So that got really intense and emotional. So you guys have some kind of, you've had some kind of thing like that. Okay, so, and what do you do? What do you do with that, right? What do you do with that? Well, you can choose to let that harden your heart, which you probably have on some level because you learned to protect yourself. And that was a whole phase you went through of learning to protect yourself from others, learning to not help the strangers, so to speak, learning to tell people, you have to fend for yourself. And this initiated a whole cycle, like a contraction cycle, right? You were contracting. And that, that's all part of the whole cosmic cycles. That's a contraction cycle. That's the dissension cycle, if you will. All of that, right? All of that. But here you are again, the second bloom. What do you want to do now? Do you want to stay in this small, contracted state? Do you want to stay in this place where your past wounds are dictating your current moment, where they are still deciding, like making your choices for you? Or do you want to open up again? Do you want to bloom again? Do you want to tap into the infinite cycle of rebirth, right? Always just like a rose, right? I had a rose bush in my parents', like my childhood home, right? That every winter, it would look like it would die, and it would just end up being like my dad would go by and he would prune it, and the rose would contract, right? And it would just be kind of like a dead stump looking thing. It was this really old rose. I've actually never seen another one. We usually think of roses as being these like young, lush type of like green, bendy, soft type of plants. But this rose had been there for so long. I mean, it must have been a few decades old. I don't know how long rose bushes can live, but it had this trunk. This was like a rose bush that it had a trunk. It was like wood, okay? It was like a woody trunk. It was about, 4 or 5 feet tall, of just this trunk of rosewood. It was like thick. It had trunk. It was like a trunk. It had bark. It was basically like this rose bush, right? It was like a tree. Sorry about my voice. It basically looked like a tree. And I always remembered it because of that, because I would go up to it in the winter and it was just like this dead tree trunk. But then, of course, every spring it would grow new shoots and new leaves and new rose blossoms and all of that. So that can be you guys, right? That can be you guys. If you want that to be you, you can bloom again. You can have eternal spring again and again and again. Here you are with the Seven of Pentacles, which is literally like, here we have the chakras, right? Here we have the chakra colors. But the Seven of Pentacles is literally that growing of the tree, right? The growing of the tree. So your entire chakra system is like regrowing like a tree in spring, or like a rose bush in spring. So with this Seven of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands, this has been, there is really this like long, it's been long. And the Seven of Pentacles, I used to get really frustrated, and sometimes I still do when I get the Seven of Pentacles, because it's about this long-term growth, right? Tending your garden, watching things grow, and it's inviting you to just tune into the cycles of nature, the cycles of earth, the changing of the seasons, and allowing things to grow through time. And really, it feels like one of the potential antidotes to your struggle here is, it's like you kind of want things to go faster. You want to get to the end, right? You want things to go faster. You want to get to the end. You want it to be over and done with, and you want to see a conclusion. You want to have an achievement. You want to have a manifestation. Like, you want to get to the finish line, right? What if there is no finish line? What if, like, it's like, drop out of that whole mindset, because that whole mindset in and of itself is the thing that is causing you this feeling of struggle. So instead, there's an alternative mindset that you could adopt if you would like, and it's one of just slowing down, right? Here's the thing. It's like, you don't want to slow down. I know you guys want to go fast, right? I get it. I'm right there with you. This message is also for me. So we got to slow down. We have to slow down. It doesn't matter how many times we've slowed down before. It doesn't matter how many times we've tried to learn this lesson before. Got to slow right down. Got to put our feet on the ground. Got to focus on what's right in front of us. Have to tend to our garden, tend to our bodies, do the small tasks that present themselves in front of us. Baby steps, one little thing at a time, stopping to appreciate where we are, and finding the power of the immersion into the moment. Can you feel it? Can you feel how powerful it's because this isn't only about slowing down, right? We always get these messages about slow down and stop and smell the roses, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. It's so much more than that. It's so much more than that, and it's taken me so long to just be able to taste this. There is these messages that we get about slowing down. We're being led to discover a new type of power. Okay, and it's really like a new type of power that is rooted in a new, like, in a certain state of consciousness, like a state of consciousness that we have forgotten and that we haven't been able to access in this life, except for in fleeting moments. But we can tune back into this powerful, powerful moment. It, like, tuning into your now moment, it's not just about being grateful for the moment. That is a place of power, okay? That is a place of power when you slow down and allow yourself to be fully immersed into your body and your experience. And can you feel the intensity of it? It's like almost like a really tight bowstring, and it's quivering, and it is powerful. And that is how you're gathering your power, and that is how you become like a drum, like a really, like the skin of the drum stretched tight over the ring of the drum, and that is how the drum gains its power. And then when you hit the drum, it rings, right? It rings with so much resonance. This is how you reclaim your power. This is how you become an amplifier, how you become a speaker, how you become a speaker. This is how you become a speaker. Just just think about what you know about like stereo speakers, right? They're like little drum heads, right? And they need to have the right kind of tension. They need to have the right kind of tension in order to vibrate at the right frequency, in order to emanate the sounds of the beautiful music you want to listen to. So there is like, so sometimes you feel tense and anxious and you want to go faster, but that's because we're kind of resisting and we haven't quite found the sweet spot. We haven't quite found the sweet tension where we no longer feel pulled out of shape or bent out of shape. Because like, you know, you can tune drums, right? If any type of drum you can, or not all can be tuned, but if they're set up in a certain way, you can tune them, right? You can twist the knob and tune the drum, and you're adjusting the tension on the drum. You're adjusting the tension so that just the right type of tension will allow the drum head to vibrate at the frequency you want. That is you, okay? That is you. Tuning yourself to be fully immersed in the moment and finding that perfect sweet spot where now you can vibrate with power. Now you can vibrate with power. So either you can, if you don't, I can't describe it any better than that. That is the best I can do. So either you could feel that and sense that, and you're getting an inkling of what I'm trying to transmit here. If it's not quite clicking, don't worry, it will. Don't worry, it will. Especially now, because your body and your consciousness was sitting there receiving that energy transmission just now. And this will start to click. This will start to click. So keep immersing yourself in your moment, okay? Just keep immersing yourself in your moment and get ready to be eternally transforming yourself in this constant cycle of rebirth, right? This constant cycle of rebirth. So, reading number 1, that is what I have for you guys. Sending you so much love and light. I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right, this is reading number 2. You guys picked that green bunny in the middle. Let's find out. Okay. This is the thorn. The thorn. Protection, boundaries, and clear communication. So, you guys got a thorn in your side? It's funny. There's this like feeling of dissonance here because I feel like I want to be really lighthearted and and I want to giggle, and I feel just like I want to run around, like I'm really feeling that kind of like bunny rabbit type of energy. But at the same time, I can feel this like undercurrent here because we have this thorn card, right? So you guys have some type of, I don't know, maybe that's how you're feeling. Are you feeling like generally pretty good, but then you have this like one problem, this one thorn in your side, so to speak? It's a little bit of a mismatch type of thing. Okay, and I was reaching for the book to read you the book, but then I noticed that I left behind one card that was like still in the box. And typically, like, that doesn't happen very often, but every, maybe like once a year it happens. And the card typically wants to come out, so I want to show you this one as well. The Sacred Union, beloved within, inner and outer relationships. So, I mean, this is going to be playing out for everybody in different ways, but one really easy example here, one really easy manifestation of this energy could be like you're in a good relationship, right? And you want to be with this person, and this person wants to be with you, and you guys are like, yeah, we're solid, we're in this together. But yet, you know, the couple could be like bickering, or just sometimes it's like you just can't get along, or you just can't see eye to eye on this one thing. All right, you have this one argument you keep having, or there's just this like petty bickering going on, or like, you know, there's like this one thing, right? But of course, this isn't going to be like relationship oriented for everyone. This could be in general. You know, a lot of people tell me like I'm doing really well, except for this one thing, and you know, I've said that often too. Like, man, because it's really interesting to look back. Like 15 years ago, I would have said that I'm doing horribly and I have nothing going for me. Right? Now I would tell you that I'm doing really well and my life is wonderful and awesome, except for this like I got beef with this like one thing. So I think a lot of us have kind of gotten ourselves to this place where we've kind of worked through all of our different life areas, but then there's this, it just kind of, and it's weird because sometimes it's hard to kind of be proud of ourselves and give ourselves credit where credit is due, and even to feel gratitude and to be satisfied and happy with all that is going well for us, because that like having like, say you have 10 life areas, right, just to use an easy number, say you have, and then 9 of them are really good, that almost like magnifies the 10th thing that is the problem, right? It almost magnifies it because it's like, well, why is that one thing still a problem for me? I've mastered all of these other things. Why do I still have this one problem, right? So for some people, you know, maybe you have love, you have health, you have a nice home, and like everything is great. You have friends, you're satisfied with your job and everything, but it's like you just don't have the money that you want, right? Or maybe you have a great career, you have lots of money, but you know, you can't seem to find your partner, right? You never seem to have, you struggle in the love department. You never quite can find like the satisfying relationship that you've always dreamed of, right? Or maybe you have everything that you want, but you're looking at your life going like, oh, I've never been able to travel, right? I've always been kind of doing my job or looking after my family or like having other obligations, and or maybe you have everything, but you don't have your health, right? You have like a health problem. So you can see how this can go, right? It's you can have almost everything, but then there's this one problem. There's this one problem. So it's going to be different for everybody. This is about the one problem, right? The one problem in your life. So let's get some like guidance on this, I guess. Sometimes it can even feel like, you know, like we can all kind of feel like, you know, like I've gotten really good at, you know, handling my life. But like, so how come none of that seems to help me with this one problem? So, I mean, just looking at the cards that are already out, we have themes of boundaries, we have themes of communication. And I mean, this is really the same type of thing, the sacred union, right? Boundaries in relationships, but also communication in the relationship. So for some of you, if this can be a relationship between you and another person, between you and your career, between you and yourself, between you and money, right? You can, so it's easy to see how it's about relationshiping and about communication and boundaries. It's relatively easy to see that if you're working on a relationship issue. But if you're working on money, career, creativity, just building yourself up, or your spirituality, or like your health, it's a little harder to see those things as a relationship or communication issue. But try reframing it in your mind and go, okay, if I had a better relationship with myself, or if I had a better relationship with money, or if I had a better relationship with the universe, or with my career, what would that look like? Right? And try to work through it, especially if you already have like solid relationships, right? If you're already like, yeah, no, like I don't really struggle with like friendships or with romantic relationships. I don't really struggle with that. Use what you know about relationships. Use what you know and apply that to whatever this thorn is, right? So a lot of you feeling dissatisfied with like your life's mission, your life's purpose. And even if this isn't like, you know, a purpose thing for you, this is you want to level up. You're ready to go to the next level, right? This could be going to the next level in a relationship or with your business, with your career, with your creativity, with your spirituality, right? You could like want to go like super cosmic big with your spirituality. Become the next version of your purpose. Become the next version of your purpose. We have like, you down here, this smaller version of yourself, smaller version. You want to become this bigger version, right? You're feeling ready to level up, right? Ready to level up, ready to expand, ready to grow, ready to go big, however that applies to your specific situation. There's a lot I could say about that. I want to get more cards on the table first. Let's get some tarot. 10 of Pentacles at the bottom. I'm going to shuffle that back in, but that's what we all want to see. Okay, and then I cut the deck at the World and the 10 of Pentacles. Oh yeah, of course, the 10 of Pentacles. I'm like, of course, we already saw that. So this is big. This is big. And with those two cards popping right out, I mean, I'm shuffling them back in, but you guys have already been building a solid foundation, okay? You already have the foundation. There's this feeling of like the thorn in your side, like, just like a couple bickering about like petty, stupid problems, which, all couples, even the healthiest of couples with the best relationship, all can fall into that bickering. And you might be bickering with yourself. You might be bickering with the universe. That is almost always like because you're kind of trapped in the smallness of life, right? And especially if you're in a like, let me just keep using the analogy of this couple, right? Me and my husband, we always say, we can't let domesticity get us. We can't let domesticity get us because both of us, if we didn't have our son, right? Well, my husband's son, my stepson, right? If we didn't have our son, we would be traveling the world. We would be free, right? We would be completely free. Instead, we're here. It's like we're playing house, right? We're raising our boy. We're living the like suburban parent lifestyle, and that is just so strange to us, right? That is against like the nature of our souls to be kind of tied down, doing the domestic suburban family lifestyle thing. That is just it's just not us, right? But clearly that's what we're doing for right now. And so this thing of like, we can't let domesticity get us is that we find that, having to live this suburban parent type of lifestyle situation, it forces us to like focus on the small things in life, right? And it makes it, sometimes it feels like the whole world's like closing in on us, and we find ourselves like arguing about the garbage and about the dishes and stupid stuff like that, right? And it's like, we can't let this domestic lifestyle like make us argue, right? We can't let domesticity win. We can't let it get us. And so we're constantly reminding ourselves, it's like, okay, just because we're stuck here being parents, right? I mean, and we love the family thing. We love this life that we've created for ourselves here. But it's really been an important learning experience for us to create the joy, right? To create the joy in our local environment, right? Because we can't really travel, for now, right? We're here, we're doing the family thing, right? We're here and now in this one spot. And we have to like create the joy in our now moment, right? Create the joy where we are, right? Man, for so many years, we couldn't even afford to go out to dinner on the weekend, right? And so we were like trapped in our small little trailer that we were living in. And it was like, okay, how do we create the joy right here, right now, this weekend? We have no money. We can't go anywhere. We're trapped here with each other in this trailer. What are we going to do, right? How are we going to create fun and joy and freedom for ourselves right here, right? And to rediscover that just because we're trapped here, just because we feel like we're trapped here, that doesn't mean that we can't also be free, right? Because freedom is a choice. Freedom is in the mind. Freedom is a frequency. And even if you are stuck and trapped in some small situation that you don't like, don't let the smallness of your reality defeat you, right? Don't let the smallness of your reality get you. For some of you, you could be feeling like, I can't believe I'm trapped here on earth in this human body, blah, oh my God, right? Don't let that get you, right? Don't let that win. Don't let it defeat you. choose freedom, right? Choose freedom to be free as you are right now. Even if you're stuck in bed because you can't walk or something, right? You can be free in your mind, and like practice creating good days and practice having good days. Like, it's really funny to think that we have to practice having good days. This is a practice. We practice, practice, practice. You know, you're sitting there feeling dissatisfied because you've got this problem, right? Well, how can you have a good day anyway? Don't let the problem win, right? Don't let the problem win. How can you practice having a good day with all of your limitations, right? Yes, you have limitations. Yes, you have problems. Have a good day anyway. How can you practice having a good day anyway, right? So yeah, you might have to adjust some of your expectations, right? Maybe you can't go to the beach today. Maybe you can't party today. Maybe you can't go out to dinner today. Maybe you can't travel today. You know, maybe you have to figure out how to feed your family on a very small budget today, right? Like, maybe you have a headache. Maybe you don't feel well, right? Maybe you and your partner are arguing about something. Maybe you feel like you are so fixated on your creative goals or your business goals, your career goals, that it's like making this like vibration in your life that you feel like you can't be satisfied to just like take a weekend off and relax, right? How can you practice having a good day anyway, right? Practice, practice, practice. And it is a practice. Yeah. Four of Pentacles, first card out here. So you feeling limited, right? Feeling limited. And yet you're building up your foundations, right? This woodpecker storing stuff away from the winter, right? One little pebble at a time. One little pebble at a time. Not that birds eat pebbles, but, you know, one little seed at a time, right? One little seed or nut or acorn at a time. Queen of Swords, seeing the bigger perspective. Here's this owl, right? Tuning into your wisdom, seeing the bigger perspective. And like I was saying, freedom is in your mind, right? Freedom is in your mind. This is, you know, Queen of Swords. This is air energy. We have an owl here. This is air energy. You can soar free in your mind, in your imagination, right? Even if you're just by yourself, trapped in your basement suite or wherever you live, right? Make that awesome. Make it awesome. And that doesn't, even if you have no budget to redecorate, that's not the point, right? It can be awesome right now if you choose it to be awesome. Figure it out. You're a creative creator being. Figure out how to have an awesome day right now, right? Right now. Right now, you can do this. And it's like, you just have to choose it, right? You just have to choose it. Despite all your limitations, despite that thorn in your side, despite that one problem, don't let that stuff win. Choose freedom. Choose joy. Choose to have a good day. It might be hard at first, right? It might be hard. You have to figure out, and maybe at first you're feeling cranky, and you know, you're turning on your music, you're opening your windows, right? You're making popcorn, picking out your favorite movie. You're just trying to figure out, like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What little enjoyable things can I do right now to make my day better, to try and have a better day? And maybe at first you're just kind of going through the motions. Maybe you're going for a walk and you're trying to enjoy the fresh air or the sunshine or whatever, and you're not really feeling it. You're like, oh, I still feel like blah, right? You still feel blah, but just keep practicing at it, right? It gets easier. My husband and I were actually just talking about this yesterday, about how we had to practice and we had to train ourselves to have good days within our limitations. And really, I think it's taken years. Like, I mean, this is like a serious big deal. I know it might seem, it's kind of trite to say practice having a good day, but no, like, this is a really important long-term practice. And it has taken me years of being trapped in a limiting experience in order to figure out how I can be free within that limiting experience and how I can have a good day no matter what limitations are foisted upon me. I can have a good day regardless of that. And so my limitations taught me true freedom, because now I can be free no matter, and I can have a good day no matter what is happening, right? No matter what is happening. I mean, yes, sometimes I have bad days. It's not like we're 100% perfect at this all the time. But it's like, you know, if we don't have a lot of spending money in a month, right? And I'm like stuck in my apartment and I can't go out and I can't really have a nice dinner. and the weather is gloomy, and I'm getting bored, and I'm getting restless, and I could fixate on all the things I don't have, and I can fixate on all my limitations, or I can just choose to have a good day. And like I was saying, we have really practiced this over years and years and years, and it gets easier. We're so much better at it now. Like years ago, when we used to have to practice this, it was harder because we lived in a really crappy place, and we live in a nice place now. We're so happy. We have this like my dream apartment, right? I used to live in this horrible rundown trailer, bad plumbing. The plumbing leaked, the roof leaked. It didn't have any heating, didn't have any air conditioning, and I live in the desert. Okay, so it gets really hot here and really cold here, and we didn't have any proper heating or cooling. And it was like really bad. Like it was right in the side of the highway. It was bad. But I learned in that horrible like dump that I lived in to have good days, right? And I had those good days, even living in this like dump, a total dump. I lived in a total dump, okay? Now I live in my dream apartment, and it's even easier to have good days. And now I can have even better days, and the days just snowball, and they just get better and better and better. And it's just, I can't even describe to you how my days are so good, because they're just like days just home with my family. Like nothing of note happens, right? But just so satisfying, so peaceful, watching a really funny movie, watching a really mind-blowing movie, having a really good conversation, having really good sex, right? That's a big one. Reading a really good book, having fun with my dog, right? Playing with my cats, snuggling with my cats, just sitting in the sun, or if it's cloudy, right? Well, then deciding, I'm going to do something good inside, just finding how to have a good day, regardless of anything. So meanwhile, this Five of Pentacles was sitting underneath. And yeah, so a lot of you are probably feeling restricted, either because you feel like you don't have love or because you don't have money, right? You feel like you lack that, but it's okay. You can create this good day no matter what you lack. And this card is actually, this particular card, we have this, I think this is like a North American antelope. I don't remember if there's like another word, another name for this animal. Anyway, this animal is just sitting here, waiting it out, waiting, like literally going, okay, this animal is in the desert. There's nothing really here. It's not enough to eat. It's not enough water. So what does the animal do? Just sits down and waits it out, right? Waits it out. So what can you do while you wait? Because remember, your limitations and your lack, your problems are temporary, right? You will find love. You will rediscover health. The money will come. Whatever the thing is, right? Whatever the thorn is, the thorn doesn't stay in there forever, right? If you've ever had I had a piece of glass stuck in my foot last year. And since it was a piece of glass, I didn't know it was there, right? Because it was like glass, I couldn't see it. My husband couldn't see it. He was like looking at my foot, because I was like, my foot hurts. Like my foot still hurts, right? It's been like 3 weeks, my foot still hurts. There was like nothing in there, but it kept hurting. And then eventually he found it, right? Eventually he found the glass in my foot and pulled it out. And so it's like sometimes, like, my point there, like, weird example, sorry, but like my point is that the thorn will eventually be removed, right? Whatever is stuck in you, whatever is niggling at you, right? Whatever piece of glass is stuck in your foot, it will eventually be removed. It will eventually come out. You're not just gonna have to walk on that foot forever, right? All of your problems are temporary. So what can you do while you wait, right? What can you do while you wait? Just think of like when you have to wait in some waiting room somewhere, right? Imagine your waiting room from hell. You could sit there, right? It's hot, it smells bad, people are being really annoying, a baby's crying, there's no good magazines, you got nothing to do, and this is before cell phones, right? Let's all remember about how much worse waiting rooms were before we had cell phones. You can sit there and stew, right? You can sit there and stew and build yourself up into a great big agony of irritated fury. Or you can try to distract yourself, right? You can daydream, you can look out the window, you can pick up one of those stupid magazines and try to find something distracting in it, right? How can you make this experience more bearable for yourself? The art of distraction. The art of distraction. I actually, when I was in university, I wrote a paper called a defense of escapism. Okay, a defense of escapism, and it was all went on for like 10 pages about how important it is to read escapist literature, because it like takes us out of our problems, and it is like important for our mental health and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, sometimes it's fine. Escape your problems, right? Sometimes you do need to distract yourself. You could have concerns about spiritual bypassing, but you know what? There's a time and a place for getting really grounded and like taking action on your problems and getting really real with yourself and looking at the problem. There's a time and a place for that. There's also a time and a place to bypass your problem. There's also a time and a place to distract yourself and escape your problem. And I think that's actually what this is about. You guys are kind of, it's like reality has your mind in its grip, and you're kind of like too focused on reality, too focused on the problems of reality, and it's time to like allow your mind a little bit of escape, right? If you can physically escape, if you can go on a vacation, that would be great. But I think a lot of you are probably kind of struggling with this because you can't escape. So use your mind, your imagination to escape. Use art, use sports, use cooking, use your spirituality, whatever it is, use that to escape your problems. Two of Wands. Just like this bird ready to take off, right? Just like this bird ready to take off. I want to read you from the book on this one. It's just like a little, these are usually kind of interesting. I don't remember what this one is, but I guess we're going to find out. Readiness, decisions, planning and discovery, progress, the start of an endeavor, taking a risk. What goes through a bird's head the first time they try to fly? As they hop off the edge and plummet towards the ground, are they feeling trepidation, fear, a sense of rightness driven by the force of instinct? And as they open their wings and catch the air, gaining altitude and control for the first time, do they feel relief, accomplishment, joy in finding their purpose, in performing the action that every aspect of their body has evolved for? Is each unique in their reactions, feelings, and eagerness to step off the edge? Or do they just fly? Or do they just fly? So this actually takes us back to this purpose card and to what I was thinking about before I started your guys' reading. I actually took a big break between recording the first reading and this reading. I was standing in my kitchen, drinking my coffee, staring out the window, and I was just feeling into how important it is for me to do readings, right? How important it is for me to just do this. And that is really why I do this, right? I started doing readings. I started my YouTube channel and my tarot reading business because I had to do readings. I have to. I must do this. And so, you know, you could look at, how do I want to approach this? How do I want to approach this? My point is that there is a gift inside of each of you. For a lot of you, you're going to be thinking about this in terms of your spiritual gift, right? Your spiritual gift or your life's purpose. Or for some of you, your starseed mission, right? Something like that, your purpose. Why are you here? Like, what? Instead of thinking it like that, right? It's not about your mission exactly. It's not about your business exactly. It's not about your art projects exactly. It's not exactly about your career. It's not exactly about serving your family or the collective. It's not exactly about any of that, although all of that kind of comes close. The real, you'll know what your purpose is when you simply must do the thing, because it makes you feel better. And because it makes you feel alive, and because you go, I just need to figure out how I can keep doing this. I need to do this because it makes me feel so good, because I receive so much from the act of doing it. This is how I feel when I do readings. It's like, yeah, I like to do readings on YouTube, yeah, because I get YouTube subscribers, and because then I drive traffic to my Etsy shop, and then I get personal readings, and then I make money, and then I have a side income. Yeah, that's all great, but that's not why I do this, right? I do this because I must do this. And when I don't do readings, and I just went through a phase, right, where I couldn't do any readings. I didn't do any readings for like a month as I was sick. And it was, sometimes I need to take a break, right? Sometimes it feels really good to take a break, and that was really good. But at the end of that, and then when I finally did a reading again, it was like this blast of energy. And I was like, wow, I need to do readings because this is when I feel alive. This is when I feel like I'm doing what I'm doing what I do. Like it's it's a little hard to describe. It's like, yes, this is it. This feels so good. I feel so uplifted. After I do a reading, always feel better. I always feel better. It feels great. This is like, it's like, yes, this is a really important thing for me to be doing in my life. It's not exactly that like doing tarot readings is the totality of my life's purpose, or it's not exactly that, you know, I need to be doing this because this is how I serve the collective, or that this is part of my starseed mission. All of those things are true, but that's not really why I do it, right? None of those things in of themselves are enough. I do tarot readings because it opens me up to feel my soul gifts flowing through me, and it opens me up, and this is how I receive energy from the universe and how the source energy flows through me, and it makes me feel inspired, and it just makes me feel alive, and it makes me feel better, right? That's why I do it. That is the biggest reason, and really, like at bottom, that is really the only reason. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't do it, no matter about all the other reasons I have that I might do readings. So that is what you guys want to be tuning into. It's like, forget everything else. Forget everything else for a second, right? What makes you feel like that? When you do, what is it that you do that just makes you feel like, yes, this is it. I love this. Makes me feel alive. When I do this, I feel better. I just want to find an excuse to do more of this. I am just so passionate about this. What is that? What is that for you? It could be literally anything. And if you had something come to mind and you immediately rejected it, stop that. Stop the rejecting of it. Stop rejecting it. Right? I just think I could have decided that being a tarot reader was too crazy, too weird, and I could have rejected this path for a million different excuses that my mind could have come up with, because it was terrifying. The first time I posted a YouTube video, like I almost threw up. I was like so terrified. I had like a complete nervous meltdown in the bathroom, because I was so terrified. Okay, so if you're thinking, oh, it's too scary, it's too weird, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know how I could possibly do that, or there's no way that could be my purpose, there's no way that could, no, that's all bullshit. Okay, that's your mind, those are your fears, that's your social programming, that's your parents, it's just all bullshit. Okay, forget about all of that. Just follow the thing that makes you feel alive and that makes your soul sing, because at the end of the day, there's something inside of you that needs to be used. There's something inside of you that needs to be expressed, right? It's like if you have a real gift, a real talent, and at this point you might not realize that you have a gift or a talent. You might not think about it that way. You might just think you're really interested in this, or you just really like it. It's just really compelling, or it fascinates you, or you're obsessed with it, or you just love it, right? You might not realize that actually means you have a talent or a gift in that area. And like, talent must be used. Your gift must be expressed. That's why you're alive. Like, you're not here just to be a slave, right? Just to do things that you don't want. No, you're here to feel alive, and you feel alive when you use your talent and express your gifts. And you know what? You're going to feel dissatisfied. You're going to feel like reality is beating you down. You're going to feel trapped in the smallness of your life until you allow yourself to follow the thing for you, right? So it's like, this is going to like completely turn this thorn thing around. So you've been kind of stuck here thinking about the thorn in your side, and you've just been kind of fixating on the problem, thinking about the problem, thinking about this one thing. Well, forget all that for a second, right? Forget all that. Instead, start putting all that energy, all that attention that you have. You've been tending to your problems with so much attention. What if you tended to your passion with that much attention? Yeah, the thorn might still be there, but you're not going to be thinking about it anywhere near as much, right? It'll just be over there until it goes away. In the meantime, tend to your passion, express your soul gifts, use your talent. And yeah, when you start doing the thing, you might not be very good at it. In the beginning, my readings, they weren't anywhere near as good, right? I mean, people liked them, right? I found people that liked them and that resonated with them, and that allowed me to start and allowed me to practice, and I get better and better and better. And I still, every month, I improve how I do my readings, and I learn, and I just get better at hearing the message. And I'm just constantly tuning myself, right? And iterating. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be fantastic at it at first, but it won't matter, right? It won't matter because you're just going to love doing it so much. Just like when you fall in love with someone, right? When you fall in love with someone, are they perfect? Do you fall in love with them because they're perfect? No, of course they're not perfect. But you love them anyway, and their flaws don't matter. They just don't matter. You're like, well, why would I care about that? That doesn't matter. I'm in love, right? So that's what this is about. That's what this is about. So, and that is how you find the next version of your purpose, right? Following your passion, following your love. And you've heard that before, but hopefully you can see that there's more going on here than just those cliches, right? There's more going on here than just these cliches. Your talent must be used. Because you've been feeling dissatisfied because there's this talent or this gift or this potential inside of you that you have been suppressing, that you have been and so it's making you feel frustrated and dissatisfied. So do the thing that satisfies you, and then you'll truly be free. So that's what I've got for you. Number 2, sending you guys so much love and light. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, reading number 3. First of all, guys, as I was putting away the cards for reading number 2, I picked up your card and shuffled it back in, and then I looked down and I was like, now it's gone. That's okay. I drew you a new card, and when I do readings, I read basically everything that is happening in the vortex of energy, right? As part of the reading. It's not just about the cards, it's about everything that's happening, right? The things I hear people saying outside, the sounds I hear from the other rooms, right? Weird things that happen when I'm sitting here. It's all part of the reading, all part of the energy that I read, right? Because I call myself a tarot reader, but really I'm just an energy reader. When I sit down, there is a vortex of energy that is here to be read, and I read it. That's how this works for me. This is what this is. So the fact that I picked up a card and then completely by accident, right, shuffled it back in, that means something to me. So right away, that gives us this theme of, feel into that, right? Is it that something was taken from you and then is going to return to you or has already returned to you? Or is it that you picked something and then it wasn't what you expected, but then you can still get what you want? Or is it that, there's this feeling of having something and then having it taken away and then having it coming back. But that's not even quite it. That's not even quite it. For some of you, it's you want something and you're saying, that is what I want. That thing is what I want. But then the universe keeps giving you something else. And you're like, what? Why do you keep giving? Like, I'm asking for this. This is what I want. And then the universe is like, no, it's this. No, it's this. No, it's this. And you're like, what is going on here? Really being challenged to question and reevaluate what it is. What is that really what you want? If so, why is that what you want? Is that what you truly want? Or is that like an ego desire versus a soul desire? And if the universe continuously is presenting you with secret option B, right? Why might that be? Why might that be? How might that actually be better for you? And yeah, it's like right when I said that, like my face like scrunched up. Someone is like, "There's no way that that's better for me. There's no way. There's no way that that's better for me. I definitely don't want that." Well, so sometimes we don't figure this out until way after, right? You might have to wait to kind of get the perspective and get the bigger picture on this. So we'll just leave this behind. We'll leave this aside and see what the card is. Oh. Yeah, okay, the wastelands. Sustainability, slow down, and tend to your garden, okay? So you're really trying to get something. You're trying to get money, you're trying to get love, trying to get success, trying to achieve a goal. Instead, the universe keeps handing you, maybe in this case, maybe nothing. Maybe the universe keeps handing you more problems, right? Or maybe it's this constant message just to slow down, right? Maybe you feel all inspired to go do something great and then you keep getting sick, or no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to get ahead financially speaking, or love just never seems to work out for you, right? Why? That might be what you're saying to yourself. I want to get a different deck of cards. This is one of those situations where this isn't going to make sense. Like, I don't expect any of you to like really like get completely okay with this right now, right? I mean, if you can get okay with your situation, if you can get okay with the lack, but sometimes you just can't, right? Sometimes you just can't get over it. Sometimes you just can't until enough time goes by, right? Sometimes when we're in the wasteland, it doesn't make any sense for years, right? This is one of those things where you can be in some kind of struggle, like literally for years, and you'll be like, I will never understand this, right? I will never forgive the universe for this, right? But finally, at long last, when enough time goes by and you enter an entirely different life cycle, then it makes sense, right? Then it makes sense. So if you want to try to understand why you're in this wasteland, ask your future self. And you guys are all completely capable of talking to and interacting with your future self. Heart of Swords, interesting. This reading is almost like an extension of the previous reading, number 2. But I feel like it's like harder hitting, right? Reading number 2 there was like a levity to it, and it was like people were mostly feeling pretty good, but they have this one problem. You guys, I mean, you got this wasteland card, right? So you guys, you are you're feeling more bad than good, right? You're feeling more bad than good, definitely. But this Queen of Swords coming out again. So I'm going to assume a lot of you also watched number 2, and maybe like it resonated sort of, but you guys are more in the darkness, right? More in the wasteland. So here you are getting more attention, right? You're getting more attention because you're asking harder for more attention, for more guidance, for more light. Heart of Wands. So these are 2 queens. So you got the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands. Interesting. The 5 of Pentacles. This is so weird because the number 2 also got the 5 of Pentacles, but that was a completely different deck, right? I know sometimes when you draw the same cards twice out of the same deck, you can kind of feel like, oh, maybe the card was like, bent or like slippery, so it came out, but this is a different deck. So I got 2 of the same cards from the previous reading. Very, very interesting. So here you go, High Priestess. Just looking at this 5 of Pentacles. Yeah, I mean, you guys you're either lacking money, or you're lacking love, or you're lacking some kind of recognition or achievement or success, right? It's that 5 of Pentacles is not really that great, but it's also this number of change, right? This number of change. This wasteland. This is where you go to change yourself. This is where you go to change yourself. Changing yourself into the High Priestess. right? Changing yourself into the high priestess or high priest, whatever. This high priestess energy. Walking the spiritual path. Some of you might resonate with the priestess path, right? Walking the spiritual path. Tuning into your own deeper wisdom. Why 2 queens? I'm really like, why 2 queens? That interests me. I mean, you might have some kind of personal thing going on where two queens make sense. I mean, really even 3, because the high priestess. So a lot of feminine energy here. And here comes the masculine counterpart, right? The magician and the mirror with the high priestess. You guys, this is so deeply spiritual. You are here turning yourself into a spiritual leader. Actually, so looking at this now, right? These 2 queens, this is more like earthy human life energy. Queen of Swords, she's very in her mind. Queen of Wands, she's very in her own power. And she's like very much like, I get what I want. Like, I get what I want, right? But this is kind of being, it's like your 3D energy. Your 3D energy, I could say your human energy, your egoic energy, your minded energy, all of those themes and things that are related to the 3D, to the human, to the ego, to the physical, to the earth, that's all being kind of broken, right? It's like there's something here having to break your attachments. Have to break your attachments. This wasteland is here. You are in the wasteland because you need to let go of these things that you are attached to. So different for everybody, right? Different for everybody. What is it that you're so attached to? Like, and it's like your mind is attached to it. Your mind, your human mind is like gripping onto something, right? Gripping onto something. Feeling like, I need to get this thing. I need to get the money. I need to get the love. I need to get the success in order to be happy. And so that is why you're in the wasteland. It's because that is where you go to be purged of these attachments that are actually toxic. Okay, and here's the thing. It's not that love is bad for you. It's not that you can't have love. It's not that money is evil. It's not that you can't have money. You could be fucking billions of dollars for all the universe cares, right? And that could be great. And it's not that you can't achieve success. There's nothing wrong with these things. These are all fantastic and beautiful, and you will have them. But you won't have them until you let go of the attachment to them. Because it's the attachment itself, the obsession, this idea that you have to have it in order to be happy. That's the problem, and that's what you're letting go of. And it's like you'll be in the wasteland so that you can be purged of that, right? It's like your past lives have kind of like tainted these things, right? Tainted these things. Maybe you've had too many lives where, you know, your relationships went sour and like love itself has become like all like muddied, and it's really hard for you to have a really like healthy, clear heart-to-heart relationship with someone, because it's like your relationship to love itself has become all like toxic. So you're in the wasteland to purge that toxicity and to heal those wounds, right? Same thing with money. If you've had lots of past lives where like money has become this whole snarly thing, right? It's like humans, we have such insane, complicated relationships with money. It's like either it's evil or it's not spiritual, or we have to have it because it's for power, or I need to have it for security, right? It's like very, very few people have a completely like non-attached, open-ended, just healthy relationship with money, right? So you're in the wasteland to purge yourself of that toxicity, heal that wound, and then you can receive money, because then when you receive the money, it will just it will just flow to you, and you'll just have it and you'll use it, and it'll just be great, right? There'll be no problems with it. Same thing with finally getting the relationship, right? It'll be impossible. And I think it's easier to see with relationships, right? If you have all of these wounds and all of this baggage and all of this clinginess and neediness to get the love, how can you ever be in a healthy relationship with that, right? That will be bogging down your relationships and creating conflict in your relationships, and it will stop you from it'll stop you from being able to fully receive love, and it will mess up how you interact with your partner, because it's like, you can imagine, right? It's not good. So you really need to purge that stuff and heal that wound before you can really have the relationship that you want. And with the success, right? I think if you're looking for some kind of specific type of success or manifestation in your life, it's like, if you feel that you can't be happy until you get it, well, then you won't be happy even when you get it, because then there'll just be another level of success. You'll kind of never be satisfied. You'll kind of be forever in this state of, I need to achieve in order to be satisfied. I need to achieve in order to be whole. I need to achieve in order to feel good about myself. So the universe wants to take that from you, because that is toxic, right? The universe wants to heal you of that. You want to heal yourself of that, right? You want to heal yourself of that. So you're in the wasteland. You're in the wasteland. You don't have what you think you really need. And that's okay, right? The desert, the wasteland, is healing. I learned this because, let's just talk really human physical earth geography for a minute. Let's talk about geography because this is a good analogy. So I grew up outside of Vancouver, right? The west coast of Canada, super lush, green, beautiful, full of water, temperate rainforest, right? So lush, so beautiful, so green, so blue. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. Absolutely just abundant and full of life everywhere, right? And that's what I love. I love the mountains and the forests and the beaches and the water and the lakes, and just, so good. Then I move. For the last 8 or 9 years or something, I've lived out in the desert. At first I hated it, because I was like, there's no life here. I was like, it's dead and dry and it's too hot and there's nothing here but sun and sand and sage, because I live in a sage steppe, in the sage steppe desert. There's nothing here but sun and sand and sage, and I was like, this is horrible. This is a wasteland, right? But after living here for so long, I've realized the desert is truly where you go to heal. I used to think you'd find healing on the beach or in the desert or on top of a mountain, because that's where life is, right? No, now that I've lived it, physically lived it, you go to the desert to heal. Because if you've ever really been out in a desert when there's just nothing for as far as you can see in any direction, nothing but sun and sand, maybe some sage or maybe some cacti, right? Whatever kind of desert you're in, it's different, but there's basically nothing there. It's so hot you can't even feel yourself sweating, because it's just evaporating. There's nothing but the sun cooking you. If you really sit out there in that desert, you'll find that everything fades away. Everything drops away. You realize that all of the things you worry about, all of the things you're attached to, all of the things you think you need, all of your stuff, all of your possessions, even your relationships. This is the interesting part. It's literally everything that you carry, it just gets burned away by the blazing light of the sun. And, talking the high priestess and the magician here, I mean, there are many spiritual traditions where somebody walking the priestess path, or someone, the sorcerer's apprentice, or anybody on the path of the healer, of the spiritual leader, pick your tradition, pick your name, you know what I mean, right? They'll go out into the desert. Some famously went for 40 days and 40 nights, right? You go out into the desert to seek inspiration, to seek connection to the divine. And you know what? You'll find it. You find it in the wasteland. You find it in the desert, because there is nothing else there. There is nothing else there. The desert cooks and fries and bakes it all away from you. And then you discover you didn't need any of that anyway. You are only yourself. You are only your one human body. You know, when I walk out into like the true desert, you know, outside of the town I live in, when you go out and it's just desert, I take nothing with me, like but one water bottle. That's all I take with me when I walk out there. And I just sit in the sun, and this is even when it is like super hot. You know, I'm talking like 47 degrees Celsius or like 125 degrees Fahrenheit. We're talking like hot, hot, hot. I just wear a hat, right? And I just let the sun bake it all away. Bake it all away. It is one of the most profound spiritual experiences that I think I can have. It's right up there with swimming in the ocean. It is right up there with walking into the depths of the forest. It is right up there with hiking up to a mountain and standing on the top and looking out at the world from the summit. Those are some of the best places to be, right? And I would say the wasteland, being in the wasteland, it doesn't seem the same, right? It doesn't seem the same. You'd think, I get why being in the ocean, I get the beach, why that is beautiful and spiritual and healing. And I get the forest, why that is beautiful and spiritual and healing. And I get standing on top of a mountain, how that is beautiful and spiritual and healing. Now, this is the time for you to understand how walking out into the wasteland with nothing but yourself and maybe a bottle of water, how that is also beautiful and spiritual and deeply, deeply, deeply healing, because it burns away all of your attachments. I think every single one of these different types of experiences all offer you something different, right? The ocean, the forest, the mountaintops, right? I mean, just think, we have all of the elements here. And the magician, right? The magician famously works with all of the elements, right? The ocean, well, that's the water, right? The forest, that's the earth. The mountaintop, peak, the summit, well, that's the sky, the air. The desert, that brings you fire, right? That brings you fire. That is nothing but the sun, right? The fire of the sun and the light. There's nothing there but fire and light, fire and light. So this is your initiation of fire, right? To be forged in fire. To have everything that you don't need be burned away. And then of course, you don't stay in the wasteland forever. You don't stay in the wasteland forever. Then you come back. Then you come back. You come back. Come back to town, right? You come back home. And now you are brand new. Now you're no longer carrying all that baggage. Now you don't have all of these toxic, festering wounds. You are healed. You are healed, right? You are healed when you come back from the desert. You are healed when you come back from the wasteland. And you are now fully, fully, fully wielding the power of all four elements, right? You have already, at this point, you have already mastered the element of water. You've already mastered the element of earth. You have already mastered the element of air. Now, the hardest one of them all, you are mastering the element of fire. And when you come back from your time in the wasteland, when you are done your isolation in the desert, right? When you have walked through fire, when you have been purified and everything has been burned away, then you come home, and then you simply begin again, and you are brand new. And then you can create whatever you want. Then you can receive whatever you want, because nothing is stopping you anymore. Your wounds will no longer be stopping you. Then you can receive love, and it will be pure and beautiful, and a true connection of the soul. And then money can just flow to you, and you will create abundance for yourself by doing what you love. And money will just flow to you, and you will receive it and keep it and spend it and send it back out, and you will just have an abundant life, and you won't have any of these weird issues with money, right? And that and then you can create the success, the career success, the artistic success. You can have the achievements that you want. Sorry, I just whacked the camera. You can have the success and the achievements that you want, and you'll be satisfied before you have the achievements, and you'll be satisfied as you create the achievements, and guess what? You'll also be satisfied after you reach that goalpost. And then you'd be like, wow, that was great. Let's hit another one. And you'll just be lost in the vortex of creation. And it will no longer be about struggling to get to where you want to go. It will no longer be about really anything other than just living out the purity of your soul, right? And just going about your life, feeling alive, and doing what makes you feel alive. And that is how you have it all, right? And that is how you have it all. So I'm gonna just draw you guys one more card, I think. What's the one? What deck? I'm kind of surprised. The Animal Oracle for you guys. Ooh, shark with purpose. Here we have a woman who is half woman, half shark. I love this shark energy because everything, like, it's interesting, right? Everything I was describing about the desert, about the wasteland, really, really, really applies to shark, right? To shark energy. Because they don't have any attachments, right? And they don't have any baggage. The ocean is, even in some areas of the ocean can be a wasteland, right? Not all parts of the ocean are tropical reefs brimming with life. You're out in the depths of the ocean where some of the sharks live, right? It's also a wasteland. But the shark, they don't need anything but themselves. They are perfect beings. They are perfectly created to be what they are, right? They are so powerful. They are so focused. And they are perfect and whole in and of themselves. And they don't need anything except themselves, right? It's like that is their whole world. That is their whole universe, right? No, they're saying don't read the thing from the book. Well, what then? Because I'm not done yet. Okay. I'm gonna get getting two final cards. I have my eyes closed while I shuffle for these. Laugh it out. That made me laugh. In a field of sunflowers. Okay, so it's like, don't get too serious, guys. Don't get too serious, right? You can come back out of the wasteland. This shark, that was pretty serious energy, right? It's pretty focused, kind of still in the wasteland. When you come back out of the wasteland, you come into this field of sunflowers. Look at this. I don't remember this card. I don't know if I've ever pulled it. Very interesting. So when you're ready to come back home, come out from the wasteland, come back inside, out from the desert, right? This is what you do. Laughter untangles the knot of difficulties before despair can settle in. Even serious situations are under divine management. To laugh is to feel good again by accepting the mysterious way of things. Ease up in order to gain a fresh perspective. No matter how it looks, know this. Everything is as it should be. The divine has assigned a spiritual guardian to watch over you. Oh my God, this is something that reminds me of something I always say to myself. It's like, you better laugh, otherwise you might cry, right? And it's like, find the absurd. This is something I practice. It's like part of my spiritual practice is actually like maintaining my sense of the absurd. You know, if you watched reading number 2, I talked about like, how do I practice like having a good day, right? A huge part of that is being able to just recognize when something is completely fucking absurd. This is like, you know, times in my life where I've gotten a surprise bill for several $1,000s that I couldn't pay for. Or when it's just one of those weeks where you have so many problems pile up and you're like, this is ridiculous. How can I even deal with any of this? You know, when like life is just shitting all over you and you're like, at some point you're like, you could either crumble into despair or you could just go, this is completely absurd, and just start laughing. and like hold on to that, okay? Find the absurdity of your situation and like hang on to that perspective, because like the absurd is just a perspective, right? And so is despair. Like if you're looking at your situation, there's all these different perspectives you could look at it from. You could look at it from despair, from frustration, from anger, from hopelessness, right? Or you could look at it from this place of the absurd. And that's why I think the absurd, capital A, is so important, and like why it is like, I don't know if you can call it an emotion. It's not really, I don't know, what kind of emotions go along with like with the sense of the absurd? What kind of emotions does that evoke within you? This feeling of just like, right? It makes you laugh. I don't think English is really good. I don't think English really has good words for that. Maybe some of you can think of some good words for that. In terms of like the emotions that go along with ridiculousness and absurdity. That's an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Anyway, yeah, I feel like it's kind of telling actually that English doesn't really have any obvious good words to describe those emotions. That probably means that those are emotions we could practice more, right? We could practice more. So find the absurd, right? Find the absurd. That will help you come back out of the wasteland and into this field of sunflowers, right? Into the field of sunflowers. And isn't this perfect that it's this field of sunflowers? Because we're talking about you're out in the desert, you're out in the wasteland, and that's your initiation of fire. And there's nothing out there but the sun. But look, when you come back, now the sun has literally grown up from the ground. It's like you've planted the sun into the ground and it's growing with the, like sunflowers, right? They're not just fire and sun, they're also earth and water, right? And they need air to blow around in, right? This is honestly like a field of abundance created by your mastery of all 4 elements. You could not have a field of sunflowers without the sun. That's why you need to master this 4th element, the element of fire, because you cannot have a field of sunflowers without the sun. I don't know how else to put it. So I'm going to leave you guys there, sending you so much love and light. I'll talk to you later. Bye.